Hello everyone. This is going to be a 200 Q&A test. Plaintiff attorney is Ms. MS period Bates, B-A-T-E-S. And defense attorney is Mr. Larsen, L-A-R-S-E-N. Again, plaintiff attorney Ms. MS period Bates, B-A-T-E-S. And defense is Mr. Larsen, L-A-R-S-E-N. This is going to start with plaintiff attorney. Okay, ready? You said that it was a female that was driving that van. Now, as you went for a few miles, you mentioned some of these motorcycles continued to pass you. Yes, they did. All right, and there got to be the time where the rider who was ultimately involved in the accident was still behind you, but the other motorcyclist had gone in front of you. That misstates her testimony, counsel. Which other motorcycle do you mean? Okay, you told me that the motorcycle that was ultimately involved in the accident, it seemed as though the other ones had gone by you and you felt a sigh of relief. Is that right? Yes, that is right. Okay, and then there were still the motorcycles who were involved in the accident. I thought that's what you said in your statement earlier. Yes, there was. I did say that. Okay, and so let's take that moment in time. How far were you going down Ohio when the other motorcyclist had pretty much gotten in front of you, leaving this other motorcycle and the other one behind you? Does that question make sense? I don't know. I didn't pay any attention to the other motorcycle besides the one that got in the accident. The one that got in the accident got in an accident. I have no idea what the other guy did. I wasn't paying attention to anyone else at that point in time. Okay, I don't think I was clear. Let me ask it again. Just so you know, what I'm trying to do is take us down as we're going westbound on Ohio. I know as you're going westbound on Ohio that there came to be a point where you had this sigh of relief that the other motorcyclists were now in front of you, but there's still the guy who was involved in the accident was still behind you, right? Yes, and the other guy, there were two of them. And the other guy, okay, two riders. It could have possibly been three, I'm not sure. Okay, that is perfect. What I want to do now is take that moment in time when there was the rider involved in the accident that was still behind you, and you say there are possibly one or two others still behind you, and the other ones were now in front of you. If I could take a snapshot of time and look at a bird's eye view, where would you be on Ohio at that time? Do you mean right before the accident? I was right there. When you say right before the accident, do you think you were within 500 feet of the accident? Yes, or less even. I would say 500 feet or less. 500 feet or less, you say? Yes. Okay, so at that point in time, there's one, possibly two others still behind you? Yes, there are. And this is when the other motorcyclist had gone in front of you, is what I'm saying. Is that right? Yes, you are talking about all the 30 or 40 or 50 of them? Yes, however many there were at that time. Yes. And they were now in front of you? Yes, they were. And the guy ultimately involved in the accident was still behind you? Yes, he was. At a safe distance, as you mentioned? Yes, he was. Okay, and maybe one or two others as well? Yes, that is right. Now, with regard to that moment when you were approximately 500 feet or a little less behind where the accident ultimately happened, where was the motorcyclist that was ultimately involved in the riding of the accident? Was he in the lane, in the westbound lane? Yes, he was. And the other two riders were located where? They were still there in the same location. Lane 1 and 2, were they still in the westbound lane? Yes, they were. And do you have any estimate of speed as to how fast they would have been going at that time? Would they have been going about your speed? I would say so, yes. Okay, and for the duration of distance of that 500 or less feet that it took to get to the point of the accident, would you say that's about the speed that they maintained, or did they go faster, or did they slow down? They didn't slow down at all right before. Okay, let me focus in for the moment on the guy who was involved in the accident. In that 500 or less feet that he covered between the time that you were around 500 or less feet from the accident to the point of the accident, did the guy who was on the bike, did he speed up? Did he slow down? Did he stay about the same speed? That is vague and ambiguous, counsel. Do you understand my question? Well, do you want to know about the actual accident? I'm taking things in sequence here. Let me do it this way. Do you want to know what he was doing before he pulled out, right before the accident happened? Hang on, maybe my question was poor. I'm taking this in steps. You're about 500 or so feet, maybe a little less, before the accident. And at that point in time, you mentioned that the guy on the motorcycle was ultimately involved in the accident, was at a safe distance behind you. Do you recall that? Yes, I do. Okay, and when you say at a safe distance, I think you mentioned in your statement how far behind you he was. Do you have a memory of how far behind you he was at that point in time when the accident was about to happen? You're asking, do I now have a memory of that? Yes, look at your statement if it helps. And it may not. I may have misread this. It may not say that. No, I don't know if I said that or not. Let me do this. Let me ask you this. You mentioned that the motorcyclist was at a safe distance behind you. Can you give me an estimate of what you feel he was behind you as you sit here today? I can only give you an estimate, that's it. Okay, that's fine. All right, I'd say maybe 3 car lengths. Okay, and when you saw him at that moment in time, again, we're at you being around 500 or less from the accident. When you saw him, the rider that was involved in the accident at that time, you mentioned that he was in the westbound lane. I saw him in my rearview mirror, yes. He was in the westbound lane, is that correct? That is correct. You said he was going about 35 or 40 just as you were going? Yes, that is right. And he had been going or doing that for some duration of time, is that right? I don't know, I can't say. When did you first see that motorcyclist who was involved in the accident? Oh, when he was about 3 car lengths in the back of my car. Okay, now you didn't see him popping any wheelies or anything like that, did you? Oh no, he was just driving. Okay, and you didn't see him weaving in and out of traffic at all, did you? No, I did not. You didn't see him doing anything at all that was unsafe, did you? Not at that time, no. At any time you didn't see that the particular motorcyclist who was involved in this accident, you didn't see him doing anything that was unsafe at all at any time before the happening of the accident, did you? Before the happening of the accident, no, I did not. Okay, now with regard to the other motorcyclists that were with him, again, we're at the moment in time when you're about 500 or so feet before the accident. Are you with me so far? Yes, I am following you. If there were 2, and you mentioned you're not sure if there were 1 or 2 riders, is that right? Yes, there could have been even 3, I'm not sure. However many there were of those motorcyclists that were with him, did you see any of those riders do anything like pop wheelies or weave in and out of traffic or do anything like that? Well, I don't remember. I don't think so, but I can't say for certain. Okay, so as you sit here today, you can't remember the motorcyclists that were with the guy who was involved in the accident popping any wheelies or weaving in and out or doing anything dangerous. Is that an accurate statement as you sit here today, ma'am? Do you understand my question? That has been asked and answered, counsel. I really didn't see anything. Okay, and then now at this distance of around 500 or so, a little less from the scene of the accident, how far in front of you was the other van that this lady was driving that was ultimately involved in the accident as well? She was about 6 or 7 car lengths ahead of me. And for how long had you been following that other van, the van that was involved in the accident? I had followed her most of the time. And you could see her clearly through your front window? Oh yes, I had a clear view of her. And obviously you're not her, but if she would have been looking in her rear view mirror or any of the mirrors available, would you be, at least as far as your state of mind, you would have been able to see her as well? Yes, of course. Okay, did you ever notice what she was doing in the car from the time you got on Ohio to the time where you were about 500 feet or so from the happening of the accident? Did you ever see her hands or anything like that? No, I did not. Okay, did you ever see her talking on the telephone? I wouldn't have been able to see that, no. Okay, did you ever see her do anything as far as that you could describe leaning over doing anything like that, such as bending forward or hands not on the wheel or anything like that? Did you ever see, or if you weren't in a position to see that, then you can say so. I really was not that close to be able to see through a windshield to see what someone else was doing in their car. Okay, so what you're trying to say is you just don't know what she was doing in her car? Yes, exactly. Okay, and then at some point in time as you were approaching Farewell Canyon, first of all, did you ever see the other van turn her signals on? No, I didn't. I wasn't paying attention to that. At any time prior to the happening of this accident, did that other van ever have their turn signals on? Not that I recall. No, I don't think so. Not that you saw? Not that I can recall. I don't recall seeing her light on. Did you see in the statement in here where you've indicated that the other person did not have their turn signals on? Did you read that? Yes, I probably did, yes. Why don't you take a moment and read that? It's in the third paragraph. Let me read this to you. Oh, suddenly came to a stop without, yes. It says, quote, at the intersection of Farewell Canyon, the car in front of me came to a sudden stop and made a sharp left turn without a turn signal or a hand signal or anything, any warning period. Have I read that accurately? Yes. Okay, we have a small word list. We have Ohio, capital O-H-I-O, and Farewell Canyon, capital F-A-R-E-W-E-L-L, space, Canyon, capital C-A-N-Y-O-N. And that concludes the 200 Q&A. Good luck.